Hello folks, Jonathan Milam here. I've got 5 or 6 mouthpieces laid out. We'll just see how it goes. Going to start with a very average one. I would consider it a legit piece. It's a GR 64MB. Fatted out the sides and the cup just a little bit on a medium, about the depth of a Bach 3C. I've got here a great trumpet. It's the Mauriat. It is a PMT-75TLB. I'll explain all of that, but the big deal is it has a titanium copper mix for the lead pipe and also for the bell. I've heard this played and was extremely impressed, and I'm anxious to hear how it sounds on our mic and system here. I'll get right into it. As I said, with an average mouthpiece, we'll go deeper, we'll go shallower as we go on, but we'll get to playing right away. Just the old American standard. I've got a mule, her name is Sal. Okay, we'll talk in just a minute about some of the details of this horn, but they're going to go right now to a very deep mouthpiece. In fact, it is the deepest drill that I've got. It is I almost said a Monette. It is not a Monette. It is a Reeves C to J, and about an 11 drill, very deep cup, very deep, dark flugel sound. And you'll see the beauty of this trumpet with a very creamy, rich, dark sound. Okay, when I heard this trumpet played a few weeks ago, and I'll try and put a link up to it, to another vid that I had, I was extremely impressed. The titanium, of course, is a very hard metal. I thought it had a very powerful sound, not too bright. It has a copper mix. So if you could see, I'm not sure in this light, but you've actually got a slight faint pinkish hue, which is the copper showing through on the titanium. Of course, the lead pipe is titanium copper, as well as the bell coming out of the first valve, all the way around. Really was, in fact, I thought, what a great horn this would be. I've got a friend that plays a funk band. Hello, Brad. In Houston, and I contacted him right away and said, man, have I got the horn for you. Now, at the moment, which is we're nearing the end of January 2023, they have got a phenomenal pricing on this, and I will put a link to that right below if they are still available, and where you can find them. I got this trumpet, I think it retailed originally for around $3,000. I got it for just about $1,250 plus shipping. I think it was less than $1,300 all told. Brand new, wonderful case, and just really, I think it's a good horn. My other main horn at the time is a CarolBrass Giuffretti. This has got a large bell that is very light brass. And then I've got a tighter bell here that is a harder metal. I think I've got most of my bases covered. Okay, I'm going to go to a medium V. In fact, it's a medium, smaller TF trumpet flugel piece. wonderful solo piece put out by Trent Austin years ago. The Trent Austin, it's the TATF. Sorry about that. Just a little fun there. Okay, what do we do? What do we do? Okay, another interesting thing about this horn, P. Mauriat, if you're a sax player, the name's going to ring a bell. They've been putting out a quality, well-priced product for a number of years. Trumpets, they've been making, I read recently they were out in 2010, and this is their second wave. Their first ones were 3-digit numbers like 620 and 725. These are a little different. This one, for instance, is the PMT-75TLB. So it's PMT stands for P. Mauriat. The 75 is the model, and the TLB is titanium, lead pipe, and bell, TLB. If you had silver, it would be TLBS. And again, I'll have a link to a site where it describes the different pieces and what they come for. The brass is by, and I want to get this name right, we usually say CarolBrass, but CarolBrass, I believe, buys their pieces from a company called Hoxton Gacki. And this shares the same valve block as the Hoxton Gacki. So it's the stainless steel valves a lot of boutique makers are using now. It doesn't seem to be cost inducive to be making your own valve sets. So a lot of them buy this. Very nice, along with Getzen, probably consistently some of the best valves that you can find. Okay, I've got a little bit shallower mouthpiece here. This is the great mouthpiece. It's the GR64MS, medium shallow. Can't think of a whole lot more to say about this trumpet, except that it's a tremendous value, and I really like the feel of it. Now, a couple of things, don't mean to be overly critical, but a couple of things that I did notice. Most trumpets, they butt the first, whether it's a crook or whether it's a ring, they butt it a little bit closer to the first valve. You're probably off by about 1/4 of an inch. And similarly, on the third slide, they usually have this ring real close to the end of the third slide. Long and short of it is, they've got a very long throw here, and my hands are not small. In fact, my fingers are short, but my hand is very wide. I cannot begin to handle that slide because they've got the thumb ring a little further from the valve block, and they start this ring a little further back. If they'd move this ring about 1/4 of an inch forward, and they'd moved this ring about 1/4 of an inch closer to the valve block as well. Could just about handle that. Tremendously long throw, but unmanageable, at least for me. If you've got supremely large hands, you could probably handle it. Most people probably will not be able to. And the other thing I notice, and it's just kind of a bummer, this is not the largest thumb ring I've ever had. In fact, my thumb got hooked in it a couple of days ago. I just about dropped the trumpet because my thumb hung up in it. It could stand to have a larger ring here for the thumb, and I believe some of them do, but this one does not. And just a couple of things. They're not huge, but noticeable. Now, this also is a modular system. You've got a screw set here. See, it's a hex 5/64 SAE. You've got one here as well, and then you've got one each on either side of the valve block. If you can see those, just little pieces, little tiny screws in there. Very solid, very well made. You can actually, if you bought the brass bell with brass lead pipe, so the whole brass horn, then you'd technically have at least 4 different options. You could have the titanium copper with a brass lead pipe. You could have the titanium copper lead pipe with a brass bell, so on and so forth. You can switch them back and forth. But most horns with a modular system, like the Schilke system, a lot of people don't like them. They're a little, the slots are not definite because there's not adequate bracing. This is the first brace. You've got the long slide to the bell, and a lot of people think it's just a little too milky a feel. Here, you've got the option to transfer your bell and lead pipe, but you've got a perfectly solid, well-functioning, well-slotted horn while you're doing that. Unfortunately, if you cheat like a lot of us do, and we put our thumb up here, it gets a little uncomfortable with that piece, and then I'm a little further from this finger ring than I like. But it's a wonderful option and very nice. Now, the Schilke system is probably a quicker switch. Since it's all essentially by hand, you're going to thumb tighten a couple of screws, perhaps at least 2, maybe 3. On this one, you're going to have a hex nut. So you'd have to set your horn up before. You're certainly not going to want to do it between songs unless somebody's giving a long dialogue. But a very nice option here, and it does not play loose. It's a very solid horn. Okay, going to go with somewhat of a lead mouthpiece here. It's the GR, what is this? This is the 63Z double star. Not the single star, but the double star. Sorry, I always get a little humor out of that. And we'll play that same song. I've got a mule, her name is Sal. And this is a setup. I believe you could use this certainly in a commercial venue. I don't think it's limited to that. But with this bell and lead pipe, I think you could really smoke it if you had the lip to keep up with it. Start over on that. All right, wonderful horn by Paul Mauriat, P. Mauriat, excuse me. Link downstairs. If I've got some horns for sale, I'll give a link to that. But I'll also try and give a link where they've got some exceptional pricing now. If in the process of time you find a place where they've got a number of horns, feel free to give me a note on any of my videos, and we'll try and keep those the great prices known. amongst us trumpeters. As always, appreciate you tuning in. Feel free to give me a thumbs up. I've got a couple of hundred videos up. If you're not a subscriber, would love for you to be. And perhaps uppermost in our need, take care of yourself. It's a tough world we live in, and take care of someone near you.